The new year marks availability of vaccine across various parts of the globe. 2020 has been such a shocker and disaster for millions across the world, but the pandemic has taught many survival lessons for mankind. Everything changed from the way we care to the way we make connections. Within a short span of time, the optimistic world turned into a standstill globe, and then came resilience, our natural instinct to survive and flourish. But this quarter, as we see vaccination drives, we slowly pave the way from chaos to clarity. But we know for around 8 billion people on this green planet, this drive is a mammoth task, which itself is divided by privileged and non privileged nations. To enlighten us in our growth series today, we have with us Mr. Sanjeev Navangal, who is the MD and CEO at Bharat Serums and Vaccines Limited. Mr. Sanjeev, with over 3.1 decades of experience, has been instrumental in his contribution in healthcare industry. Welcome, Sanjeev, to our Global Growth Series.
Thank you so much, Pankaj. I'm excited to be on a very interesting initiative that Vyapti is doing. So, would be very happy to participate in your initiative.
Thank you, Sanjeev. So we start with our first curiosity. Sanjeev, you are aware of the happenings, in the world and businesses in last 2-3 quarters now, and we have witnessed a slump in economies and losses of lives and so many things. But what are the opportunities, if any, this crisis has created for your industry?
I think not just for my industry, but pandemic has created tremendous amount of opportunity to revisit every principle that we had in terms of conducting ourselves. So the biggest change and opportunity that we are now seeing is that the businesses are getting more intertwined with social behavior, and therefore it is more and more an aware customer who will come to the table while doing business, and that's probably the biggest change. And that change, within that, the maximum change we are seeing in my industry, in healthcare industry, where a consumer and a customer is trying to understand more and more about themselves, about public health, about what the industry does. So it has thrown tremendous opportunity in terms of not only consumption of medicines or consumption of healthcare, but also in consumption of information related to healthcare. So it is for us a fascinating time, and I should not sound, too optimistic and too, happy about what how things are. But in reality, it has helped people understand healthcare in a much better fashion. So there is a much bigger opportunity ahead of us. Second part of the opportunity that we are seeing now is the fact that healthcare will improve if more people get into the treatment net or more people get better treatment. And both will happen. Ultimately, it is a belief behavior model. So belief in healthcare is improved, and therefore the behavior will change, and therefore the opportunity in healthcare is going to be more widespread. The third thing that has happened is because people could not immediately access a healthcare facility, they started trying to understand their own healthcare a little better. And you find, sale of wristbands and oximeters, pulse oximeters, and blood pressure monitors, and all, everything hitting the roof, because people are now starting to understand that they also need to take care of themselves and not wait until things go wrong. So I think that is another important thing. Fourth thing that has happened, and which is boost our industry, and we see more growth opportunity coming through, is people becoming more socially aware of public health. You can see that this year you have not had the normal flu season, normal malaria, chikungunya, dengue season to that extent. I'm not saying it will not happen, and it is not a panacea that we see, but because people are taking more care. So there is that enhanced ability to understand public health that is happening. So in a way, for the last thing I wanted to mention was innovation. I think our industry now has to go back to the drawing board and look at innovation. We were getting too restricted in neurology and oncology in terms of innovation globally. Now there is more opportunity to look at more wider parameters of this, and there is equalization in the world of disease. Earlier there was developed world disease, underdeveloped world disease, or developing world disease, but now it is all about disease.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
more people globally and including in our countries will be more engaged in R&D for diseases that might be more equimanious to the world. So that's another very, very big opportunity we are seeing. So our industry is seeing a dramatic shift.
So you mean to say the pandemic has been an equalizer?
In a way, yes, because everybody's problem is the same problem. It's not a different problem any longer.
Mhm,
So see, look, these are important things because if imagine Western world would have started looking at only Western world diseases
mhm,
because of life expectancy related and not looked at the tropical diseases or the tropical country or developing world diseases, it would have created a lopsided world.
mhm,
But these kind of things put everything on the same platform, and public health gets raised as a story to discuss by all the stakeholders, whether it is governments, whether it is policymakers, whether it is industry, whether it is providers, whether it is the digital world, whether it is the new age modern technology world. Everybody has to come together to solve the same problem. So there is an equalization, certain equalization has happened.
So Sanjeev, when you talk about the opportunities in this particular industry, how do you see the growth prospects of the industry in the next 2 quarters in India and South Asia region? We would
I
also
think
like you to cover specific reasons even outside Asia as well. And what are the transformations required to leverage the changing landscape?
Yeah, I think this is a wonderful thought that you are putting on the table is in terms of how in the short term will growth happen in this industry. And what would it lead to? I think it has to be bifurcated into two parts. One that will lead to growth in the short term, one that would happen in the short term for long term growth. So I think both is important for the short term now.
Mhm,
One thing that will happen very quickly is people will take charge of their health, and
correct.
that would mean better understanding of healthcare, and
Mhm,
therefore that would mean more people getting involved in healthcare, and that itself is a big driver of growth. So
mhm,
you will see in the next 2 quarters the growth momentum that has started will continue and accelerate for healthcare companies.
mhm,
All healthcare companies will get better and better because of that.
mhm,
The second is that the for every small thing running to the doctor
mhm,
will change from many angles. So
mhm,
the other growth factor that will happen is modernization of technology related to providing healthcare.
mhm,
Hmm. See, the cost of going to a doctor's chamber has time cost attached to it, opportunity cost attached to it. It has cost, basic cost also.
mhm,
While if some of these things can move directly to technological interventions, or maybe technology driven interaction with the doctor,
mhm,
will mean more productive time for people, and therefore there is this natural ability for another level of growth that will happen because doctors can see more patients.
mhm, mhm,
And therefore their ability to provide healthcare will become better.
mhm,
So this will again have a dramatic shift. The third part that we will see in the short run is the fact that consumption of healthier products, healthier supplements, healthier food, everything will change, and healthier food also will become part of healthcare. So healthcare, let's say, the arena of healthcare will also expand for us in the short run. This is going to happen in the next 2 quarters, and you will see more and more of it.
mhm,
And I've been talking to as a mentor to some of the modern food delivery companies,
mhm,
and they are also engaged in discussing can we is there a way to understand what is healthier food and non-healthier food, and how
mhm,
can we differentiate customers.
mhm,
So look, it's healthcare is expanding in many ways, and in the short run, the pharmaceutical industry, the industry which I belong to, is going to see an upswing in terms of consumption of medicines. More people taking. See, it's like this. I'll tell you a simple example that a doctor in diabetes sees a patient every 14 months. That will change because technology will allow the patient to see the doctor more often,
okay.
and therefore better treatment will happen.
Mhm,
Yeah, that itself is a big change, and that would mean economics of the business will accelerate more than anything else. So it is a good thing for everyone. Patients will have better control over their health also. So there are multiple benefits of these things happening. The other thing that happens along with this is that, for example, the average, let's say, diabetes patient takes his medicines about 220 days a year.
Mhm.
That's the general global average, or India average is very similar to the global average now. But we believe that in the short run, because of pandemic and because of wanting to take better care of themselves, you will see that comorbidity understanding improving, and therefore it will move from 220 days to 240 days to 250 days, and this is better business for everybody.
Mhm. Mhm.
Better control for the patient, better outcome for the patient, clinical outcome, and therefore better business for the companies and better business for the doctor. So everybody gains in this process,
Mhm.
and the spend on healthcare will increase in disposable income.
Mhm.
This is already going up. So there are many ways we will see healthcare business getting better and better in the short run. And if these trends move behavior,
Mhm.
then we are set for the long term. I think the growth prospect of this industry go better and better because of that. But the single most change that will happen is the consumer behavior on I taking more interest in my healthcare will be the biggest driver for us in the short run and the long run.
Okay. So, Sanjeev, we talked about the growth and opportunities, but can you also talk about the sleepless nights with our scientists or the scientists across the world have spent in the last 9 months to around 12 months, making a vaccine? And this particular quarter, a general person and a general public like me would be more interested in understanding the credibility of this vaccine, because we have seen a lot of companies making vaccines, and now they are in the market, and we will see in India and majority in South Asia, this particular quarter a lot of vaccination drives happening. But just a curiosity from a common man across the world, what is the credibility of these vaccines? And we are seeing new strains coming up. If you could enlighten us a little more around that.
Oh, sure, sure. I think this is a question foremost on many citizens' mind, and whether it is India or South Asia or globally, everybody has, their own worry on this, because people have not seen an event like this in 100 years. And I don't have to use the words that normally we have ended up using throughout the year, like unprecedented and all. But yeah, obviously this was not experienced by us, and since it was not experienced by this generation, our response was not immediate and adequate to begin with in terms of understanding what was happening. But look, scientists have been struggling with trying to find newer methods to solve disease problems for the last 2 decades in a big way.
Mhm.
And as a layman, people used to hear a lot of terms that, oh, the thing we are hearing is there is something called immuno-oncology, there is something called stem cells, there is, all kinds of things people used to hear, and regenerative medicine. So there is a bunch of things that were going behind the scenes, and many platforms were getting developed for us to understand how science can move forward. And actually, science was moving forward in the last few years. I'll tell you a simple example, and this will very quickly make the point. In early 90s, when there was an HIV patient, he or she had to consume 28 tablets a day, and the life expectancy was not great. Despite that, medicines were also toxic, so you don't know whether the medicines kill the patient or
Disease killed the
the
patient.
disease killed the patient. There was, but that was an early response, but those drugs showed us that this disease can be treated.
Mhm.
Today, one triple combo tablet a day,
Mhm.
and HIV is controlled, and life expectancy is similar to a normal human being.
Mhm. Mhm.
See the change that has happened in 20 years.
Mhm.
So science has advanced dramatically because they have understood gene mapping has improved, the understanding of disease treatment has improved, especially infectious diseases, understanding different pathways has happened. So it is not the same world for the scientists. So when people are thinking, oh, vaccine development is to take years and years, and now we are trying to rush everything in 1 year and all, actually we have to understand that that's not the case.
Mhm.
We have to understand that technology has changed so much, understanding of diseases have changed so much, that there is possibility to develop things much faster because platforms are already available now.
Mhm.
Imagine in vaccine development today, there are 4 types of vaccine development on the table.
Mhm.
There are the known inactivated virus, vector virus, there are the known technologies that are there on the ground. But there are also newer technologies like what you hear, mRNA technology, which is, we hear this about companies which have storage of minus 70 degrees and minus 20 degrees, but they're newer technologies. And what has happened, you don't have to have an inactivated virus, or you don't have to have anything. This is just understanding a spike protein on the virus and developing a response to spike protein. That's it. See where technology has gone. But this technology was being developed for years, so it does not come all of a sudden. So first of all, people should calm down thinking that something new is being experimented because pandemic happened. No, scientists were working on some of these things much longer. That is part one of the story. Second is, in vaccine development, everything used to go very sequential. And the approvals, the regulatory systems used to work on very sequential terms. This is not the case any longer. People are ready to work parallelly. People are ready to work on different things together and along with the system, along with the regulators, to develop science further very quickly. So the bureaucratic time that was taken is out of the bureaucratic time at scientist level, at the regulatory level, at the government level. Everything has been removed. So that would mean you would save a lot of time. The third thing that has happened is, we now are in a much better position to develop clinical trials and accelerate them on the ground. So that understanding is also improved. So if you put all of this together, I think people should not feel that vaccines are being rushed. First of all, let us settle down in our mind that there is no rushing of vaccine. There is a better understanding of science, better understanding of regulatory framework, and better understanding of trials for us to accelerate things in a much better way. There are no shortcuts. In vaccine development, there can never be shortcuts. Realize one thing, that besides drinking water, the second most important thing why life expectancy increased in 20th century was vaccines.
True.
And the biggest factor of that was also that in the consumer mind, safety of vaccines was paramount. People felt safe with vaccines. And therefore, that has to remain the hallmark and the basis of vaccines. So all precautions, all regulatory authorities are taking to make vaccines safer. Number one point. Yeah. And I believe, as a man of science, I believe that enough care is being taken by all the regulators all over the world to ensure safety of vaccines. So we should calm down a little. There will always be debate, there will always be questions, there will be anxiety-driven issues, there will be politics around public health all the time. But we should, as consumers, think very sanely, think that, okay, scientists know what they are doing, regulators know what they are doing. I think the demand for more transparency is coming, which is a great thing, which I think consumers want more understanding of public health and what is happening to them. And that demand for more heightened understanding of transparency on trial data and all is good for ultimately in the long run, and we should have that. So that I grant people. But they're also somebody who understands science should explain. I don't think that explanation can be given by TV debates, and it has to be explained by experts. So that is and listen to experts. Listen to your doctor, listen to the experts, listen to scientists. That is paramount for everybody to understand. Don't listen to rumors. Certainly don't get carried away by Dr. Google, or don't carried away by WhatsApps. Get carried away by scientists. It's okay. So that is an important factor. And also the planning that is going on in the policymakers, in the government, including in India, substantial planning has gone on how we should manage the vaccine deployment and rollout. So a lot of work is happening. I have been involved in some work, and I can tell you the amount of care policymakers are taking in terms of a rollout is outstanding. Let's also give it to them when they are doing a good job. We are very quick to point out when things go wrong, but we should also be very quick to point out when things go right, and they are doing a huge amount of planning. Can you imagine, vaccine approval to deployment of vaccine is going to take 15 days? Unheard of. Unheard of, because all other work has been done. Training has happened of vaccinators. So we should feel safe that environment has taken care, necessary people have taken care, that vaccines are being developed, are being safe, and they'll be deployed properly.
Mhm.
And we should not get scared of vaccination.
Mhm.
One thing that is important to understand, that pandemics last 2 to 3 years. That
Mhm.
has been our experience. So pandemics are not going to vanish because of vaccine. So there are four major pillars of pandemic treatment,
Mhm.
and all four have to be adhered to. Number one is wear your mask.
Mhm.
Mask is also a vaccine. Mask has proved effective.
Mhm.
All studies are proving masks are effective. So nobody should, you know, contradict that.
Mhm.
Number two is better understanding of clinical management of patients.
Mhm.
And you will see death rates in the beginning of the pandemic to death rates today, there is a dramatic shift, because treatment, clinical understanding of how to treat patients has improved dramatically,
Mhm.
and with simple medicines. Number three, there is enough research besides vaccines happening on treatments,
Mhm.
different kinds of treatments. We are developing a platform on antibody treatment, which is how to neutralize the virus if it happens very quickly with one injection. So there is enough platform development and treatment development is happening. Ultimately, the gold standard is going to be an oral antiviral.
Mhm.
So that work is happening, and we should feel confident. So treatment development is also equally important as much as vaccine development. And the fourth is vaccine. All four have to work for pandemics to go away.
Mhm.
So again, not getting carried away by the vaccine story in our mind and dominate it in such a fashion that only vaccine is the solution for everything. This is not true. All four things have to work. Yeah. So it is important that people understand this, feel that the world is coming around. Scientists have worked very hard. Scientists have been working for years to find new technologies. Policymakers have worked. The stakeholders have worked. Doctors have worked day in and day out. Doctors have sacrificed. There's so many doctors who have sacrificed their lives to save patients. It's time to honor them as martyrs as much as a frontline soldier. Today,
Mhm.
what is the difference between a doctor who was on frontline versus a soldier who is on frontline? Nothing.
Mhm.
Right? Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. We should say Jai healthcare people also, no?
True. True.
So I think it is equally at the same level. I think so. Therefore, I think citizens should feel safer,
Mhm.
that there is light at the end of the tunnel. We
Mhm.
see that pandemic might be controlled.
Mhm.
I'm using the word carefully as controlled rather than eradicated, because we still have time to see how this will work out.
Mhm.
The last thing I want to say on this mutation thing,
Mhm.
I think there is worry on mutations. Viruses mutate. So
Mhm.
this is not some out of the world thing, and how what is happening to COVID-19 virus and how it is mutating, coronavirus is mutating. It will mutate.
Mhm.
Coronavirus also mutate.
Mhm.
But history tells us that coronavirus don't mutate beyond a point,
Mhm.
or the mutations are generally controlled. Again, this is what history tells us.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is no predictor of future,
Mhm.
but at least history tells us that coronavirus mutation will be managed. It is not going to be so dramatic in nature. There will be small changes that will happen. I like what they found in UK was a strain could be more virulent than the others. But if
Mhm.
virulence increases, generally by logic, the lethalness has to go down.
Mhm.
So there are many other things that happen.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, but also if there is more virulence, there is also better understand antibodies in more patients or more citizens. So there are many factors that work around. I think people should also calm down on this mutation thing. It is something to look for. Scientists have to watch it very carefully. We have to be very alert on it, but it is not something that was unexpected or not predictable. This was going to happen.
Sanjeev, a question in mind, because at this point of time, in say 2020, 2021, we have seen India being a on the front foot across the world, when we have reached a platform wherein our scientists were able to develop a vaccine in quick time, which is in correspondence to what world has seen. And as we see the economic function growing, and as our prime minister says that our economy is going to be the third largest economy in the world by say 2028 or 2030, don't we think we are being optimistic about it? And our scientists have shown signs that obviously we are going to be on the forefront of the world in years to come.
I think that's a very good point you make, Pankaj. Uh, a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And now our nation is seized on the healthcare opportunity in many ways. One is what you mentioned about the government. I think the spend on healthcare was abysmal in the country. I think everybody is realizing it and everybody is working hard to see what should be the real healthcare spend in the country. So that is moving, hopefully, that will move very fast now.
Mhm.
We keep over talking, going as an ambition to 2.5%. With the vaccine spend itself, we'll hit 2.5%. So I think that is a great thing. So healthier nation will emerge out of this, and therefore healthier nation will be a more economically sounder nation, more productive nation. So our ambition to become a bigger economy, I think we are on the way. Pandemic has in fact created impetus for us to be a healthier nation, and therefore we might become faster in our growth.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a very different take on what could happen in our healthcare, in our nation. But we also need to free up the economy and free up all our entrepreneurs and scientists more and more.
Mhm.
And that I think we are expecting. I think there is a statement made by our finance minister saying this will be the most path-breaking budget of independent India. We are hoping and looking forward to it. If that happens, if shackles are removed from everyone,
Mhm.
we might become a bigger economy. And I'm hopeful. Third or all is a number, but I think we will become a bigger economy very quickly now. Is signs I'm seeing. Our entrepreneurs and our people who are involved in economy have shown better economic rebound than most places. So I think we should look forward to it. Yes, we have a lot many issues on our hand to solve, but nothing gets solved in a day. But we are moving probably. Then we might move in the right direction based on what we see. The second is about our scientists. I think we were proud about being pharmacy of the world, but ultimately we are producing which was already known to the world.
Mhm.
We were just reducing cost of production.
Mhm.
We were not on the forefront of global healthcare and innovation.
Mhm.
Suddenly, our scientists are showing us that give us an opportunity, we can go up the value chain very quickly and we can become world class.
Mhm.
This opportunity is being demonstrated by our scientists. We have our own developed vaccines coming through. We also are going to be 60 to 70% of the global need of vaccine produced out of India.
Mhm.
So both manufacturing capacity wise and technology wise, we are advancing globally in vaccine front.
Mhm.
For example, as I mentioned to you, what we are doing in our company, that could be the world's first antibody development through equine resource. So there is world's first that are happening in this country, which was not happening earlier.
Mhm.
And therefore our scientists are getting a lot of traction, attention. Money will come through, more venture capital money will come, more private equity money will come, more investment will come in healthcare, more investment in R&D, and our scientists now will have opportunity to go to the world and they can climb up the innovation ladder. Maybe we might choose our battles carefully. We may not want to choose battles like, okay, we are not there in maybe at the cutting edge of science and neurology, but maybe in infectious disease we might be. So we can choose our battles where we want to be world class and where we want to be world number one. But there is an opportunity and the door is open. How do we make use of that opportunity will demonstrate how big we become global. Yeah, that's something. The other opportunity that is opened up is digital opportunity on healthcare.
Mhm.
Yes, digital economy is also quite strong.
Mhm.
So if innovation happens in digital economy and in device economy, based on digital economy, we might become front runners in science there also. And that work is also happening very quickly in the country. No pulse oximeter needs to be imported in this country anymore, if in reality.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. So we can become dominant in some other things. So I would say this pandemic has created the door opener,
Mhm.
has created confidence that this can happen. But it's a question of stakeholders coming together and implementing it properly. Everybody has to contribute. Otherwise, this is not going to happen. Let also be realistic about it that this is not going to happen if everybody doesn't contribute together. So
Definitely.
I'm very hopeful. I'm a little more optimistic than what I was in the past.
Mhm.
But it all depends on how we implement it.
Sanjeev, through your narrative, you have paved the way for our third curiosity. So, what are the job prospects would this growth and opportunity create?
So, Pankaj, let me stick to my industry. Yeah, and resultant jobs out of my industry. Yeah, I think, look, more consumption of healthcare in the country means you will need more healthcare workers. So, the job opportunity, we will need to have more doctors, more nurses, more healthcare providers, more ASHA workers. Everywhere in the chain, we will need more people.
Mhm.
And therefore, the job opportunities are going to go up dramatically.
Mhm.
If we need to supply these medicines and healthcare solutions to people, we will need more people engaged. So we will get. Can you imagine? Ours is the only industry that has been net positive in terms of employment in the last few months. We are net positive in employment, even in pandemic situation. Obviously, there is more need. More manufacturing will be required. More jobs related to manufacturing. So imagine more machinery will be required, more technology will be required, more scientists will be required. R&D going up, more scientists will be required. So I think this country will need to start producing more PhDs.
Mhm.
Because you will find all IITs engaged in healthcare research.
Mhm.
Mumbai IIT is a beacon.
Mhm.
Delhi IIT has some device research happening. Mumbai
Mhm.
IIT has device as well as drug delivery system research happening. So
Mhm.
IITs are getting into healthcare.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this is just a sign. Yeah.
Mhm.
The only place we still don't see enough people joining healthcare is at management institutes.
Mhm.
They still are enamored by investment banking and FMCG, not realizing that this is the only knowledge industry. They should get more into healthcare. So my message would be to IIMs of India that if they don't choose healthcare as their first preference, they are doing disservice to what should happen in future in this country. So I would give a very strong message to them. Yeah. So, but there also jobs are going to improve. We'll require more management capability in healthcare.
Mhm.
We would require, the cementing between. See, engineers are doing healthcare work in terms of devices, but they would need healthcare experts to bring to commercialization.
Mhm.
So this fusion is also going to increase more. You
Mhm.
will find more jobs in uh, app development in healthcare. How
Mhm.
do I take care of my own health? How do I build wristbands? How do I build more monitoring systems? Small things will improve more. You will find more diagnosis happening, that more people will take blood tests in a year. So you'll find more jobs happening there. You will find more jobs coming through in terms of communication of healthcare.
Mhm.
So you look at the span, the opportunity for healthcare related jobs is dramatically going to increase. Even healthcare food
Mhm.
or health sensitive food.
Mhm.
People have eaten more salads in pandemic than their entire lifetime. So this also gets jobs because you have to produce more salad. So India's problem of trying to get away from rice and wheat
Mhm.
would see a new angle that okay, people are wanting more some other kind of food, so people might produce more of that. So you will find more and more jobs which are healthcare driven than in the past, and this is going to be an industry that will employ more people. Period.
So, Sanjay, you talked about three different points. The first is that the employment is going to increase in this particular industry. The second thing you talked about and you attracted through your narrative is let people join this industry more from the research perspective. And I also firmly believe that not only this industry, but across the industries, India has increased its research capability, which is a tremendous sign for our economy to grow. And the third thing you talked about is healthcare is more about a habit now. It has changed the perspective of a common man from going to a doctor or visiting a doctor when he's not well to making it a habit that he himself is capable of understanding his health and going to a doctor more often than as in required basis. So I'm sure our listeners and our viewers are seeing this and they're going to get a lot of views and perspectives from you. My fourth curiosity is more about you as a leader. How do we ensure that our desire to grow remains untouched even in the toughest circumstances? People would like to understand from you, because not only this coronavirus, you have been instrumental in many vaccines, and we have seen many a time, not only in the companies for which you have worked, but you have definitely even helped government agencies come up with a tremendous plan for the future ahead. So people want to know that, has the life been very easy for you, or you have also seen sinusoidal waves as you progress in your personal as well as in your professional life?
I think this would be a little difficult question to answer because I speak always very little about myself. But let me put it this way: that look, all of us are driven by something as human beings, and the ability to reflect on what drives us makes us a better human being. I think we attach too much importance to success in terms of corporate ladders, in terms of being famous, in terms of being known, or in terms of being appreciated. But those are results of things.
Mhm,
Nobody should bother about them.
mhm,
I have struggled like all of you. Everybody has struggled. You have struggled. I have struggled. All of us have struggled through.
mhm,
My request would be that I went through a lot of struggle in terms of being pushed into opportunities or issues which were difficult in organizations.
mhm,
So, what happened was, because I was new to the organization, or because we were all young people, we were thrown into the deep end by saying, "Oh, we don't know what will come out of this, or this doesn't look anything great. Let these youngsters learn from it. We don't care if it fails or succeeds."
mhm,
I got many such opportunities in my past life. And I struggled through them, stumbled through them, trying to learn through, and said, okay, what if I make a success of a hopeless situation?
mhm,
How will it, what will it take? What will I learn out of it?
mhm,
And how will that experience carry me through? And I have had those issues. And I've gone through those and made very difficult, hopeless situations successful only because I wanted to learn something and do something there. Now, when that adds up, you start building a reputation of problem solver.
mhm,
And then people trust you more, management trusts you more, society trusts you more. So you get more and more opportunities to drive that.
mhm,
So, and that should be your oxygen. That should not make you complacent. So
mhm,
treat everything that you get on the way, failures and successes, as oxygen for you to go ahead. And that, I think, was a big learning for me. Oh, I have failed many times. I've tried to be over smart at times. I've even, not understood sometimes. I've made decisions as a leader sometimes on trying to understand how to build teams.
mhm,
I've
mhm,
made mistake of bringing in too many smart people in, but they don't work as a team, and then things don't work. So I made those mistakes, learn through them that okay, how to create environment for teams to succeed, but
mhm,
get the right people with the right attitude and right skills.
mhm,
Give enough importance to them.
mhm.
Also, I have learned that you are nobody if your people around you don't succeed.
True.
So I've learned that you have to allow people to do their work. The other thing I've learned is people are driven by causes. People come to work because they have a job,
Mhm,
but people do their job and succeed because they have a cause.
mhm,
So as a leader, learn to give cause to people.
mhm,
In my industry, it was a little easier. We always could build causes.
mhm,
I can tell you, I've worked deeply on diabetes. I've worked deeply on tuberculosis in this country. And I feel, when I look back, I feel happy that I could contribute to difficult things.
mhm,
I think if we do a study on how much just diabetes and hypertension as disease burden are causing economic impact in this country, my feeling is it might be affecting about 1% of GDP.
mhm. That's huge.
1% of GDP growth is being eaten up by diabetes and hypertension. So look how important it is for us to solve these issues. And if people understand the bigger cause, everybody gets driven by it. And when the tide rises, everybody's boat rises. So we should not look at what is going to happen to us as much as allowing us to understand how the tide can rise.
Mhm,
Sacrifices happen. I think, my younger daughter still comes and tells me that I was not there when she was born. I
mhm,
was at some funny meeting.
mhm,
So, And these things stay with you then.
Mm-hmm.
This also has taught me how to balance your life.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is not your job. Your life is much bigger than that. And if that is the case, your contribution to society is important. What you give back.
Mm-hmm.
Think about everything that you do, how it is going to better society.
Mm-hmm.
Last few years I have been deeply associated with a blind school.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you so much satisfaction to understand what you can contribute to people who are underprivileged or and undeservingly not got the best of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that you are only a medium to provide for other people. You are no one. Also, don't get carried away by as I always say to people, that if you once you become a leader or rise up the ladder, don't give too much importance to the chair. There'll be hundreds and thousands of people around you who will come to you because of the respect for the chair and not because of you.
Mm.
Create respect for yourself. Don't shine out of the respect for the chair. So ultimately, you want to take back that you contributed to humanity and you have been a good human being, and that will take you far. I have built very big network of people connections around me only because I believe that that network helps. You can solve a lot of problems. As I mentioned to you, Pankaj, the other day, that we have created such a huge network of doctors, healthcare professionals, policymakers, hospital people, all kinds of people, and amount of help we could provide with this informal network on for patients in pandemic was substantial. Simple things, getting availability of drug, hospital bed not being available, don't know which doctor to go to, which doctors are treating COVID, basic information. We've been able to connect a lot of dots. So if I have my wealth creation is the network, that I have a lot of good people whom I know who are ready to help anybody in a given circumstance.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to put it, but I would say that I have been a person as a leader developed through my own experiences
Mm-hmm.
and learning from people who are in nature. What do they do right? What is it that makes them successful?
Mm-hmm.
What is it that works for them? And can I imbibe something? So I'm a little bit of everything that I've learned from people who are successful rather than me being anything. And understanding that you are what you are because of what others make of you is very important for any leader, because vanity can quickly hit a leader. Most of the time, leaders hear what they want to hear and not hear what they should hear.
So, Sanjeev, if I may ask you, God has been very kind to you, and you said that you wanted to give back to the society. Something specific in mind you have which you want to tell our viewers, something specific, a project which you want to do?
So, Pankaj, now my focus for the next few years is purely developing an organization which caters primarily to women's health.
Okay.
This is 50% of our India's population. And we talk a lot about human rights, women's rights, this and that, but I think I want to concentrate on women's health. I want to ensure that India's 50% population is very healthy. And everything that I can do in the next few years will be dedicated to women's health. And there are many issues in women's health which are not properly attended in India. And the factors are many. There are like, are you the bread earner? Are you important? What is your age profile? What are the social behaviors? How society treats you? How different communities treat you? There are many reasons why women's healthcare is not uniform in the country and not to the extent it should be. And for me, that is extremely important for a healthy country. And if India's economy has to boom, women's health has to get to where it should be. And therefore, my concentration will be on women's health, and that encompasses everything, including diversity ratios in organizations. Everything has to improve. And I'm going to be deeply focused on that issue for the next few years. I have a great medium because I have a great company. I have great investors who are ready to work on women's health, and therefore I am in a sweet spot to do this. And therefore, all energy is on ensuring that we build a company that will cater to women's health.
We're really happy, Sanjeev, that you're focusing on women's health. And as we said, that God has been kind to you, and you are showing that kindness to the other generation and the people who are unprivileged, and other things in terms of healthcare, and maybe vaccination through the scientists and so on and so forth. Thank you for your heart and mind talks. It has been real a pleasure speaking with you, Sanjeev.
Thank you, Pankaj, and I wish you all the best for the VAP platform. I think you people are doing very good work. So we can only be supportive of you, and can believe that you should be more and more successful for good messages to prevail all over the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sanjeev.